Hey students, today I'm going to be telling you the story of the Memphis Riot of 1866. Well, to call it a riot is a lie. It was not a riot, it was a massacre. It was a targeted, organized attack by the city's police and the city's impoverished white citizens, all of which was stoked by local newspapers who decried the Freedmen's Bureau and who claimed the usage of black Union Army soldiers patrolling the city was designed to break the will of the people. This animosity fostered a growing tension between the federal black soldiers, who were often harassed and arrested for minor offenses by the Memphis police. Memphis police arrested soldiers' wives for prostitution while at local gatherings with their husbands. They banned the gathering of black citizens in public. And as these persecutions mounted, black soldiers began resisting arrest from the police. Regularly, the streets would erupt in what began as a stop of a black man who would be beaten or shoved for insolence and then would turn into a violent brawl within the street. But on the day in question, the tension erupted and led to 46 black citizens being killed. 75 more were injured, at least 5 black women were raped, and nearly 100 homes were burnt to the ground. Every single black church in the city was burnt to the ground. 8 black schools were burnt to the ground. The 2-day long violence saw crowds of white men, firemen, police officers, local businessmen attack the black community within Memphis relentlessly. So, how did the events that day start? Well, it began with a party. Within the limits of the black community, a gathering was taking place on May 1st. And around 4 p.m., John Craden ordered 4 officers to break up this party. This was outside of their legal jurisdiction and an unlawful order, yet despite this, the 4 officers proceeded. The soldiers at this party refused to disperse. After their refusal, the officers left the scene to get reinforcements. As they did, they were chased by the black soldiers. In fleeing, one of the officers, a man named Stevens, shot himself in the leg. He claimed he was shot by the soldiers, and this lie would serve as a rallying cry as more and more police officers came to break up the party. As locals came out to punish the soldiers for supposedly injuring the officer, a gunfight broke out. And in the process of that gunfight, an officer, Finn, was shot and killed. At news of Finn's death, the violence escalated substantially as a citywide mob formed. The commander of these soldiers, a Union general named George Stoneman, ordered that his soldiers disarm and return to the barracks. He then locked them within the barracks. And once the soldiers were no longer on the street to defend the local black community, the mob would rage for 2 full days. This was not the only such massacre during this period. In New Orleans, on July 30th of the same year, a similar massacre would be carried out by former Confederate soldiers in union with the New Orleans police. They gathered in New Orleans to purge the black presence from the city. These acts of unmitigated violence would always be characterized as riots within local newspapers. They would be recast as the fault of the black community. They would be told that if the black community had obeyed lawful orders, if they had not resisted the disbursements, that tension would have never escalated. This guilt and blame placed within the black community was designed to drive a wedge between the whites within the community who felt animosity towards lost economic opportunities from the freedmen within their towns and the freedmen who were trying to make a living outside of the slave plantation. These violent outbursts during the earliest days of the Reconstruction both cemented an important racial division between black and white citizens, and it also encouraged the most radical members of the Republican Party within the United States legislature to pursue radical Reconstruction, punishing the South, not just for the war, but for their violence and aggression in the years that followed. This growing divide would alienate poor Southern whites who favored populism over racial division, and slowly lead to the abandonment of Southern black citizens by Northern governments who were both unable and, in all honesty, unwilling to enforce legal equality for the freed people of the South. The most important lesson I can leave you with is that violence in the South was not a rare aberration during Reconstruction. It was the language of a racialized politics. I look forward to your discussion posts on this video. Have a great day.